According to investigators, Sia searched online for details about the high-profile Raja Raghuvanshi murder case in Meghalaya, with officers suspecting she may have studied that case while planning Ketan's killing. Police also claim her internet history included searches on whether women are beaten in police custody and the legal rights of female prisoners. Investigators say that Sia and Chetan jointly pushed Ketan off a cliff at Lohagarh Fort on June 18th, calling it a meticulously planned murder. Both accused remain in judicial custody, while another mobile phone recovered from Sia's residence has been sent for forensic examination. As the investigation widens, police are piecing together digital records, financial transactions, and the alleged secret marriage. Developments that could significantly strengthen the prosecution's case in one of Maharashtra's most shocking murder investigations. I'm being joined by Dr. Kapil Kakkar, who's a psychologist, Dr. Nisha Khanna, who's a marriage counselor, and Nirmal Kaur, who's a former DGP for Jharkhand. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining me. Well, let me just ask you, Ms. Nirmal Kaur, at this point, what do you make out of this? You know, is this expected? There have been some gory crimes recently, and I think once this Pune case did come out to the fore, almost instantly everybody could just look at the parallels between what happened in Meghalaya, what is being known as the Meghalaya honeymoon murder case, and the Pune murder case. There seems to be eerie similarities between the two.
Definitely. It is a very unfortunate, cold-blooded, premeditated murder, Very cold-blooded, and, all the conspiracy was hatched so fine, fine-tuned. All the details were worked out, all the researches were done. And, of course, the example of Meghalaya case was in front of them, that he came out on bail, and Sia also must have thought that it is not going to be that difficult. And now the evidence comes out that she's already married Chetan a few months ago, and also, she's going around with this farce of wedding with Ketan also. So they had to get together, conspire, and they murdered him in cold blood just by pushing him. Same as the Shillong murder, same as the Meghalaya murder which took place. And this lady is very, I think both of them, the couple, is very cruel and criminally, inclined and very criminal-minded, Maybe one of them is a psychopath.
Criminally minded. Let me just get in at this point, Dr. Kapil Kakkar. Dr. Kapil Kakkar, take us through how would a psychologist look at this? All of this is post the case. These are all things that are being probed right now. This is, as it were, even in this case, Sia is not convicted. She's accused of these things. These are cases that are sub judice. So we are not running a media trial. But it's just the shock of what's unraveling. It's just a shock of what's unraveling. It's also the details of how in one case you had Sonam, who was already in a relationship with somebody, married on a honeymoon, pushing her husband off, if I can say, killing her husband. We don't know. That's sub judice. That's, allegedly, that's what's being claimed at this point or being probed at this point. In Pune, again, eerie similarities. You have a young lady, an educated lady, quote-unquote, an empowered lady who's in love supposedly with another gentleman. What's emerging right now is possibility of them being married after she was engaged to Ketan, and then both conniving to push a young man off the cliff for no fault of his. How do you explain this psychologically?
Well, I had in one of your programs with one of your colleagues almost 7-8 days back, I had predicted this, that this girl would have been inspired from Sonam Raghuvanshi case, and she would have vowed that the mistakes which they would have done, these people will not do it, hence they will save themselves. And why would I say that is, because the precautions which they took in Sonam's case, there were multiple people involved. There were 5, 6 of them involved. In this case, the brainchild and the so primarily the two I would say there are two protagonists or the two criminal minded who ensured they did not involve anybody else so that the story and the modus operandi only lies with them. For me, there can be just one more person who, in case would be involved, would be otherwise. So that is the first precaution they took, which means they did study Sonam Raghuvanshi case very closely. Secondly, like you said, that she went on Google and googling that what happens in jail, whether women are beaten up, whether they are tortured and all. So she was also mentally preparing herself that even if she goes to jail, she knew that over a period of time that she would be out also soon. So I think these were the other motivating factor, unfortunately for her, where both of them had done their full research on the topic, what Sonam did, what mistakes they made, and how they need to ensure. That is why the boy was in the hoodie. He was out. He did not accompany her initially, and then his mobile phone was with one of his, I think, drivers or somebody, the third person, and he had taken somebody's else number, mobile. Lastly, I have been seeing this girl's parents saying that we really loved Ketan, the father saying this. And when I saw him saying this, and the mother said that we don't mind you pushing my daughter from the cliff, if you would have seen that. I am very sure the day when I heard that, I was very sure they are being tutored by the lawyers. How do you handle media? What are the things that you need to say? Because they never meant what they were saying. They, for me, had very little empathy for the boy who has gone. So that was the unfortunate part. So the point I'm trying to make is that when we talk about criminal minded, this is a very well researched a module that they have played out, and they knew exactly what they were doing, why they were doing, and that is why the marriage thing also had kind of taken place. So unfortunately, when you talk about such criminals, for me, they are a borderline case where they might be novice, but they are almost criminals, is what I would call them to be.
You know, but the irony of it all is, how does one know? And that's where I want to really get in Dr. Nisha Khanna. Dr. Nisha, you know, when you hear such cases, I think one thing that immediately comes to the fore, and you know, we discussed a lot about this, that isn't it so much more easier to say a no and face the consequences of saying no to a relationship or to a proposed marriage than to go through all of it? Clearly, that doesn't seem to be the case. What must one do, you know, if you, after a particular incident, you come across and you hear experts say that this is, this has many layers and this could be a classic case of maybe somebody being a psychopath. We're not getting into all of that, but if these are the kind of concerns that really emerge, what must one do while one is getting into a marriage, getting out of a marriage, getting into a relationship, getting out of a relationship? Because one would have thought that's just part of life. That's how life is lived. But clearly that is not.
Ma'am, one thing Sneha would like to highlight here is that this case clearly talked about enmeshment in the family circle. When we talked about enmeshment, it is like the kids are following what the parent says. Like, I want to marry a guy of choice who my parents selected, and I can't say no. Saying no is a difficulty for such children where